Alrighty, that should be everything I need. I think I'm all set to get going on the stream. Hi, everybody. Here I am, still sipping my coffee. It is a gloomy day and it has not gotten brighter since about 6 a.m. It is so gloomy and cloudy outside today. So it still feels like I should be just waking up, even though it's almost noon. And, I mean, for some people, I suppose that is just almost waking up, getting up at noon and all that, but I don't know. Anyway, welcome. Welcome if anyone's there, or if you're watching the VOD. Glad to have you here. I'm going to do a little bit of writing today. It is Friday, which is always good news, right? I mean, Fridays are good. Fridays are good. I suppose unless you have to work Saturdays, which then it's not as exciting, but then it's just like a different day of the week. It's your Friday, and everyone still has like that feeling of knowing that you've got a day off coming up, and it's great, and I'm rambling about it now. But yeah, it's Friday, so we're going to do some writing. I'm trying to think of ways that I can diversify what I'm working on. Hey guys, how's it going? How's it going? I'm doing all right myself. Thank you for asking. I'm thinking about ways that I can diversify exactly what I'm focusing on while I'm writing, because I feel like it gets a little monotonous if I'm always working on the dungeons and stuff. And so, like last time, we were working on a bit of lore ideas and talked about character creation. And today, kind of what I wanted to do is last night I was kind of looking over all of my notes and stuff that I've written at this point in time, and I realized that I've been spending a lot of time working on dungeons and I don't know, just kind of working on the same stuff over and over again. And what I haven't been doing is filling out the lore and the details in between. I'm thinking what I want to do is I want to spend some time going through here, and I just want to highlight and notice things that I want to flesh out more. And then we can work on some details and all that kind of stuff. So let's see here. Okay. Oh man, you guys are going nuts in the chat here. Hold up. Let me catch up. Oh, you guys got a bounty. Wow, you guys have been busy then. A lot of guys have been busy. That reminds me of the time when my players got themselves thrown in jail, and they were all mad about it. And I was like, well, you guys did burn down a farmer's fields, and from the appearance of it, attack a child. We from the outside recognize that it's a misunderstanding here, but you guys used zero diplomacy, burned down a field, and yeah, the authorities arrested you. So it's funny how that stuff goes. Hey, Spooky, how's it going? Making a flowchart, eh? How about that? That's burning farmlands. That'll get you. That'll get you every time. People go figure, in communities that revolve pretty much entirely around agriculture, they get touchy about their farmlands. How about that, right? But so yeah, let's dive into this. Like I say, I kind of want to just go over, focusing really on this region we've been working on. I want to just take a breath, kind of, from making new big dungeons and stuff and doing wide swath paintings, and I want to take a minute and just think about some details and stuff. So we've got in here, we've got our territory here. So the territory. Actually, I can pull up the map here so we can just kind of look at some things and visualize. A map. I don't want the world map. I want the region map, I think, here. Steal you, man. No escape from an island, eh? That's I mean, you're setting up for a solid Jack Sparrow-esque type of situation where they can try and lash together. What was it? What was it that the rumor was? Lash together sea turtles with his back hair or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it was. I mean, if they could pull it off, it'd be something. It'd be something. But this is the region we're working on here, and we've kind of mapped out where all of the dungeons and stuff are going to be, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a whole lot of work that still needs to be done on making all of these dungeons. But I'm feeling, when I'm running the sessions, I'm feeling like things in between the dungeons are a little sparse. So I want to take a moment and work on that kind of stuff a little bit here. Small island, they're hunted by the guards on the island. A magic guard generator. Yep, that's that'll get you. That'll get you. Make a small Easter egg. My world is always full of Easter eggs. It's definitely stuff that will be entering into my dungeon as we're adding, or not my dungeon, my world, as we're doing details. I love Easter eggs. I love referential humor. I love all that kind of stuff. So just going through here, what I want to do is I just kind of want to go through a lot of these things and just make some highlights of things that I want to flesh out. So that way, it's like, obviously I'm not going to be able to get to everything, and you know, so it's good to make notes. So the very first thing that I want to do is, I have some details for the city, but I really want to flesh out that city a bit more, make it a bit more lively, make it interesting. Small home where there's a mimic door that will only open when you flirt with it. There you go. That's not bad. It's not bad. If you're that's you got to be careful though with how flirty the door gets, because that could definitely bring you down some specific pathways that I'm not sure I'm ready to explore with the guys in my campaign. So I don't know. Steam is having an open world sale, like open world game sale. I haven't checked. I haven't been online yet today, or onto the Steam store yet today. So that's pretty sweet. I might have to check that out, see what's on sale. But yeah, so I definitely want to be spending some time on the city itself. So I'm going to highlight that. Yeah, Mr. Steely Man, there's definitely players that would do that, and I'm not going to tell other people how to run their games, but that ain't my game. That is a different game, and I am uncomfortable leading that game. That is and that's why we are careful with the things that we present to our players. Let's see here. I actually have to fill that out. But that's a kind of a last tidy up thing. That's basically making a clickable table of contents. So we'll get there. Let's see here. So we want to do Bepamat. We've already got that there. And it's let's see here. You know, Mr. Steely Man, if that's what works for your group, then you can do it. But I ain't touching that. I ain't touching that potential lawsuit. Nope, not getting into that harassment, that barrel of potential harassment lawsuits. Not my jam, baby. Not my jam. I got bills to pay, and being in prison does not pay them. Hey, Chow Mein, how's it going? Glad to see you here. Let's see here. Let's see. Just reading through some of these things. So, okay. Universities. These are definitely things that would be fun to flesh out a little bit. Definitely fun to flesh out a little bit. Alright. What else is there that I want to flesh out? I mean, the unhinging. I could definitely add some more detail. I could definitely add a whole lot of... Yeah, Chow Mein, you came in at an interesting time. Mr. Steely Man is taking us down a very unique pathway. And, you know, yeah, and it's like... You know what? No judgment, no judgment. But as I say, that ain't my game. I ain't running that game. That's a very different game than the one that I'm playing with my players. Just that's where it is. That's what it is. Oh man. Let's see here. What else is there that I want to flesh out? One thing that I definitely need to flesh out in, and this is going to go back with Bephamat rather than the whole. Yeah, exactly, Chow Mein. No prison time for me, and that's why I ain't saying anything. We're talking about very very PG-13 and above role-playing here, and my response is I ain't opening that can of lawsuits. Not happening. Not going down that road. Oh boy. Matt, we want to do that. Let's see here. Traveling. How's that a lawsuit? You know what, Mr. Celia, man? I will let you go ahead and explore the concept of harassment and where people land on that kind of stuff. Personally, I'm just not even gonna touch it. Not even gonna touch it, buddy. That's on you. Let's see here. I kind of want to flesh out some potential weather events. I kind of want to add some more detail just about the climates. Yeah, exactly. See, Spooky knows exactly where my concerns are and why I'm not playing that game. It's not gonna happen. Roll for climate. Definitely. And I've actually got some sort of some tables for traveling and stuff like that. But that's actually something that I kind of want to maybe flesh out a little bit as well. And so we can come across that later and flesh these out. Because I've got a lot of like nothing rolls, which I think it's good to have some no events while traveling days. I don't want it to always feel like there's always going to be something happening, because then it starts feeling really cliched. And people get kind of burnt out from that. But I definitely want to do stuff like that. And then here we're getting into the storylines, and that in and of itself, the whole thing is highlighted, and that's what more of these are. But actually, in making some of these highlights, I've kind of identified actually what I kind of feel like working on today, and I kind of want to just build the city. And I kind of want to start from scratch. I have in my old stuff tab here a lot of random odd notes that I've written about the city Beppomat, which is that's the main city within this region. If we look at our map, right up here, that's our big city. It's our sort of city center where everything is. And I want to flesh that out a bit more. I want that to feel a bit more alive than it does right now for the games. Like I've got in my mind a lot of stuff for it, but I haven't bothered writing it down. And I feel like that's a really good way for me to get trapped. So we're gonna go ahead and copy my template here and enter this, and let's work on a city today. That sounds kind of fun, right? I think it sounds like fun, and well, joke's on you guys, because this is my stream and I can do what the fuck I want. So let's see here. Am I running a campaign? I'm running 2 campaigns. I currently DM 2 campaigns. Both of them take place in this world, but I've been really specifically working on one region, because the other region that is running they play less often, and I've got more stuff mapped out for that one, so it's kind of on autopilot for the moment. Yeah, so yeah, we're working a lot on this region. Pre-written campaigns, yeah, you know what, I like modules. The struggle that I always have with modules is I always feel super guilty whenever I railroad players. And when working with a module, there eventually will come a time that I always have to railroad my players, because my players they're adventurous, and they like to explore what I don't expect them to explore. And so when I'm doing a module, I always kind of run into this situation where I'm like, okay, I either need to railroad these guys, or I need to start making stuff up on the fly. And as capable as I am of making stuff up on the fly, I prefer if things are mapped out, so that way I don't accidentally trip over things and create inconsistencies. Because I like people to think that I'm perfect, even though I'm the opposite of that. It's an ego thing, really. Yeah, so I love modules, but usually what ends up happening, and this is why the other one is actually so mapped out, because it started off as just a straight up Horde of the Dragon Queen, and I took that and rolled it into my world. So like all of the Horde of the Dragon Queen stuff is kind of there, but then I've built a lot of extra stuff around that. So it has a whole lot of pre-made stuff as well as stuff that I had, and most of the work is kind of done. So that one's just kind of, like I say, it's kind of cruising on autopilot for the time being. So I've been kind of letting that one roll and working more on this region, which is where the other group is. And right now they are presently not in the city, which is why I want to take the time to map out the city. So, excuse me, that way when they come back, It's like, hey, I'm actually ready to handle all of you guys and your hijinks and your insistence upon getting drunk and stealing stuff from people's backyards. Oh, you like the city name, Bepimat? This region is meant to be very themed around like ancient Egypt type of atmosphere, and so a lot of the names kind of come from I use like name generators. I use the fantasy name generator, and it does a really good job of like creating fictional names that still fit sort of naming conventions of like, you know, you can choose like regions and stuff like that, and so that's you know, that's where the name comes from. How ancient am I going? I mean, the generalized aesthetic functionally is the same as what typical D&D lore has, which is sort of high fantasy, you know, maybe a little bit of you know, like you know, gear mechanics type of stuff, you know, steampunky a little bit, but mostly just high fantasy Lord of the Rings style, and functionally that's where I keep it. As far as the atmosphere goes, just, you know, think pyramids and pharaohs and stuff like that. It's very loose because it's fiction, so we can just kind of make it as pretty as we want and kind of play fast and loose with it, with the stuff as far as official timelines go. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on here. So we've got a basic intro, and so I gotta think about. I almost like doing the basic intros afterwards, so that way I can get all of the details in, and then you just kind of summarize it like it's the leaflet for a book or something like that. Let's see here. Dark Souls. Spooky, you've talked about Dark Souls before. I've played Dark Souls. I enjoy the lore of Dark Souls. I don't always enjoy the difficulty of Dark Souls. I'm very busy, and there's only so many times I can fight the same boss before I'm like, I need a break from this. So I do enjoy Dark Souls, but I have to be in the right mood. Cuphead, fuck that. I have played Cuphead, and I have not beaten it, and I don't really have any intention or desire to beat Cuphead, as that game is psychopathic. It is cruel and unusual, that game. It's a beautiful aesthetic. I love the look of Cuphead. Not as crazy about the rest of it. Have I beat all the Dark Souls game? Absolutely not. I have not beaten all of the Dark Souls games. I do not have that kind of time in my life. I would love to have, but I have not. They're beautiful games. They're beautiful games, and I have nothing particularly bad to say about Dark Souls. They just are not always my cup of tea. Not always my cuphead of tea. So let's see here. History of Bepimat. So the history of Bepimat. So here's where like my head lore, and I've written a lot of this down already. But the city of Bepimat, actually, I'm very attached to, in terms of where it fits in my world, because Bepimat is the first human city that was ever established, and it's the first human city that was ever established, and it's actually the home of the first humans that existed in Zaoria, which is the world that I'm building. And so I have a lot of affection for it, just because to me it represents the origin story of humans within my world. And it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I shouldn't really even act like there's some sort of special affection. I am attached to everything that I create, because I put so much energy and thought into the things that I create that I just naturally get attached to them. But Bepimat is a fun one. It's a cool one for me, because it's a fun place for me to think of as being the center of the human spiderweb throughout this whole world. Yeah, Spooky, I appreciate that you're willing to admit that you want to see me suffer, but that does concern me in some ways. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I would not be opposed to playing Dark Souls when I'm doing my game streams. Once we're done with Mass Effect, though, I'm playing Mass Effect, and you're going to goddamn sit through me playing Mass Effect, because I love that game, and that's just how it's going to be. That's just how it's going to be. There ain't no way around it. That's how it's going to be. But yeah, so talking about Bepimat, thinking about the history of it, and I kind of want to just work on an outline here, like an outline for all of these things. I've got my generalized template that I use for all cities, and I kind of want to just do an outline Because like for me, I find that writing works best if I start with an outline and have the framework, and then add more detail, and then add more detail, and have it be just sort of a constant editing process. It's a lot easier to not get lost as you're going along and like stray from the direction you want to go. And I also find that it's easier to not get quite so burnt out when writing something, doing it that way, just because there's always like that framework is always there. I don't get bored of it halfway through and think like, well, I've got nothing and it seems like so much work. Let's do something else. So, and that's why, like, if we go back to our overarching region template here, that's why I've pre-mapped out all of the missions and the dungeons and everything like that. So that way it's like that framework is there, and it's just a matter of going through and adding the detail. And so I kind of want to do that here. Is Mass Effect Legendary all 3 games? Yes, it is. It's all three of the original trilogy. I mean, there's the 4th. There's Andromeda, but Andromeda is not part of it. Legendary is 1, 2, and 3, and it looks beautiful, and I love it. But history of Bephomet here. We'll just do bullet points because we can always get rid of the bullet points as we add more detail here. And I'm thinking... So this is where it always is a struggle for me, because I would love to sit here and write a goddamn Encarta entry on the city. Just have pages and pages of history and lore that I've thought of for what would be cool for the city. As fun as that project would be, when I'm trying to make this as a practical thing for D&D, it's not the worst idea to rein myself in a little bit. I also think, creatively speaking, it's always a good idea to set limits and not go over the top with things. I think one of the things that I notice consistently with any kind of artist, whether it's like movie directors, whether it's musicians, whether it is artists and stuff like that, when they're given free reign, things tend to get weird and less interesting. It's almost... most of my favorite musicians, movie writers, show writers, and all that, when they have constraints, it almost makes something better. Because they're not going too wild and crazy with things. And so I try to give myself constraints when I'm writing these things too, and not get too out there. Hold on. Sorry, I did not want to deafen you guys too much. Oh, Spooky, you're being too harsh on Mass Effect. People love to shit on the ending of 3. It wasn't that bad. A little simplistic, yes. But any other game that has one singular ending, people don't shit on it like they did with Mass Effect 3, alright? Like, it wasn't great. It took a DLC for them to fix it, but it was not that bad. Same with Andromeda. It wasn't that bad. It was a little goofy in some of the glitches and stuff that they had, but it could have been way worse. It wasn't that bad. Let's not be too harsh on it here. But, okay, let's see here. History of Bephomet. First human city. Let's see here. Home of first humans. And then, so the first humans are, let's see, I need to actually pull up some old stuff, I think, to find out that stuff. Well, but Spooky, here's what I would argue. I would argue that the choices and the story along influence how you interpret the ending. So, yes, they kind of had one ending, but sometimes that's the situation. When you're talking about an ending where it's like a race is trying to, like an alien race is trying to destroy, spoiler alert, is trying to destroy all of humanity, all life in the galaxy, you kind of have 2 prescribed endings. Either they do or they don't. But the process of going through, do you save this individual versus that individual? How are you perceived? What happens to, the Geth on the way? That type of stuff really impacts what the ending means to you. And so I would argue that, while yes, it was lame. Like, I'm not going to try and apologize for it too much here. It was lame that there was kind of like one written ending with all that they said. But let's not act like your choices throughout the whole story didn't have an impact on the game. I mean, that was it. Depending on how you did in 1 impacted 2, and what you did in 2 impacted 3, the characters that were available, the story that was told, it all did play a role. It's just that in the end you ultimately had one goal, and either you achieved that goal or you didn't. Like, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it kind of reconverging back into the end of it, because how you achieved that ending, whether you had a success or a failure, also makes a difference. It was also impacted by who was still alive on your team and who wasn't. Spooky, you are welcome to your opinion. I'm just offering the counterpoint. I don't think it was as bad. as people make it out to be. I think they're, because I think the thing is people, I think that what's unfair to Mass Effect is people rag on it all over the place. Meanwhile, there are all kinds of crappy games that get released daily that people don't say a single thing about. And it's like, let's give Mass Effect a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here. The fact is, it captured our attentions for hundreds of hours over the course of it. I don't think we can say it was really that shitty if we all played it that much, right? I mean, I've pumped so many hours into it. I can't pretend like I didn't like that game. Even if just like the last 10 minutes were kind of a fart, it doesn't make the game terrible. And I would argue that Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't as bad as people said it was either. I think it was disappointing compared to what we were hoping for, but yeah, see, I mean, that's kind of what my metric is. Like, we don't have to pretend that it was a perfect game, but I think that of all of the games that the ending was a bit of a flop, Mass Effect was the most worth $60 of any flop that I've ever played. And I love Mass Effect. Spooky, you're welcome to enjoy the start and the ending, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I feel differently. I think that the story as it's told along the way. I mean, you can have something that has the best start and the best ending. You can have a movie that had an amazing last 5 minutes, but if the hour and a half in between was garbage, then you're not going to stick around for the ending. So I don't know. And it's perfectly fine for us to have differing opinions, but I don't know. I just the crew of it is, I think Mass Effect deserves more credit than people like to give it because of the very last few minutes of 3. I think Mass Effect is I think it can be forgiven, especially because they released DLC to try and fix it. Like, they did everything they could to try and make it right. So I don't know. I don't hold it against them. But what I really want to do is keep working on this city. I want to keep writing, baby. That's what we're here for. So the history of Bepamat, it was the first human city within my world. It's the first human city with the first, it was the home of the first humans. They sort of established this city surrounding it. And there are 2 individuals in particular that are important. And I want to make sure I remember their names. It's been a while since I've worked with them. One of them is Queen Madeline, and she was a very prominent individual. And I need to go here. I think, did I put it in here? This is the old stuff. It's all the current stuff. What, where is it? Where did I put this information? I just want to make sure I keep the name. I mean, I could just make up a new name if I'm kind of starting all this lore fresh. There's nothing wrong with that. Wonder if I put it, maybe I put it in, if we go to humans, I wonder if I put it in human. Nope, did not put it there, clearly, by it being empty. What did I do it? What did I do with it? Fantasy name generator. I use fantasy name generator all the time, Chow Mein. Hey, Inflatable Cat, how's it going? I use fantasy name generator all the time, and that's probably where I came up with this name. But I already have established the character, and I've written some lore and stuff with it. And so if I want to recycle, I want to keep it consistent. So I got to find where the hell I put that shit. It's in here somewhere, damn it. I know it is. This is all that same stuff that I had already copied and pasted and put elsewhere. Maybe here. No. Not there. Frickin'. Alright, fine. We'll just give him a new name, and then I'll rename it in the current stuff if I need to. That's what we'll do. We'll just find a new name. We'll just find a new name for him. Why not, right? Why the hell not? It's my world. I can do whatever the hell I want with it. Whatever the hell I want with it. I'm doing alright, Inflatable Cat. I'm doing alright. It's a gloomy day, but I'm not really too bummed out about it today. Let's see here. Internet's bad. That's a bummer. I'm surprised mine's not bad. It is a very windy and rainy day around here, and sometimes that makes things choppy. But it does not seem to be impacting things too much. It's just a gloomy day all around, isn't it, Chow Mein? Holy crap! Everyone's all sad and gloomy, but they're not gonna bring my mood down. I'm feeling good today. I don't know. It's just one of those days. Let's see here. We go to real names, and let's see here. I'm gonna stick with that ancient Egyptian theme. So we're gonna go with ancient Egyptian, Here we go. Let's get a dude name. Let's get a dude name. I don't know. Let's see here. Oh my god, I would love to just do this one and just screw with my players and make them say that at some point in time. Miss Fragmuthosis. Miss Fragmuthosis. Miss Fragthumosis. Miss Fragmuthosis. I can't even say it. I'm moving on. Complete opposite. We could just do it ka. There. Boom. Easy to remember. Easy to remember right there. No, I don't know what any of those. Damn it. No, you know what? No, I gotta find that other name because now I'm thinking about it. I've presented that name to my players, so I have to use the same old name. Shit. I've definitely. Oh. Wait, I know where I can find some information on it. We go to here maybe. Not in there. Not in there. Not in there. Nope. Where is it? Where did I put that stuff? No, not in there. Not in there. No, not there. Maybe I moved it already. Maybe I moved it. I know. It's fucking. It's there. God damn it. Madeline's tomb. That's what I'm looking for. Zarus was his name. That was the guy. Zarus was his name. We got there. I found it. Let it not be said that I gave up and didn't find it because I found it. I goddamn found it. All right. So we need to go here. Queen Madeline, King Zarus. Boom. Okay. There we go. So if we've got Zarus, and so Zarus has a lot of history as well that I have already worked on a little bit. And ouch, I should not have touched my nose like that. It is still healing from being fractured. Silly me. Gotta not do that. My nose is going to be crunchy for the rest of my life because of that shit. Alright, we're going to highlight King Zarus, and actually probably Queen Madeline, because I do actually want to flesh out their lore at some point in time. You see, and this is why doing things piecewise and making these highlights is important, because, man, I want this to be one of the most detailed worlds that ever existed. I'm talking Tolkien levels of frickin' detail. No, don't highlight stuff when I'm not ready to highlight it. No color. Okay, so we've got Queen Madeline, King Zarus, home of the first humans, first human city, Utopia, let's see here, cultural, Mecca, all that kind of good stuff there that I'm just making notes on so that I can like write more details about it as I'm going. I'm thinking what else here. I want to say blessed by the gods because it was. So let's see here. So first human city, definitely some information to put there. Also for the history, I want to do unhinging, right? The unhinging was probably the most critical event that happened in the history of this world. So it's a really good idea to mention it from time to time when we're talking about major cities and stuff like that. So the unhinging, it was hit very hard. Many people died, as happens during worldwide catastrophes. It's it is what it is. It is what it is. If you didn't want to risk cataclysm, you shouldn't have been born into the mortal plane. Just saying, it's your own fault at that point in time. Let's see here. Built walls around the city. Let's see here. Many refugees. City is primarily human. Now, let's see here. Large populations of desert races after unhinging. So in this city, so basically with the unhinging, just to sort of recap as I do with the unhinging, in case this is anyone's first time hearing me really go into detail about it. The unhinging was a cataclysm in which all of the elemental, ethereal, philosophical planes as well as the mortal plane got all kinds of jumbled up. There was just all kinds of tears in reality that formed. Resulted in a whole lot of very bizarre things, a lot of bizarre magical events happening in nature, a whole lot of uh, weird mutant creatures that were amalgamations of mortal with, like, ethereal or elemental creatures and stuff like that, misplaced magical beings. So you have all kinds of weird elemental creatures, and it's basically just the unhinging is the explanation for why things like monstrosities or fey creatures exist in the mortal world. It's just my version of offering up the standard fantasy lore and explaining why these things exist in a world that is otherwise very human in its appearance. And so one of the other things about this world is that there are a lot of races that they're referred to within this world as enlightened races. Sentient isn't quite right, because there are plenty of sentient nasties that really are not playable races. So the playable races tend to be, like I say, what I call the playable races are enlightened races, races that have, in some way or another, whether it's blessings by a god, whether it's just sort of generalized advancement of culture and society, whatever it is, they've kind of gained the ability to get along with others, is sort of the essence of it. Varying degrees based on the specific race and their history and all that kind of stuff. But even then, many of them would sort of not necessarily isolate, but just, like people's flock to each other. That's just, that's a very human thing too. People who share a language or share a hobby or what have you tend to flock together. That's just it. That's what people do. And it's no different with the races here. Orcs tend to convene towards orc cities and stuff like that. But when the unhinging happened, basically there were about 12 or 13 cities. It depends on whose perspective within the world how many cities survived, because there's a couple cities that are like, people aren't aware that there's actually still people alive there, but that's an entirely different thing. Entirely different project for a different day. But there were only a handful of cities that were actually prepared and equipped to handle something as catastrophic as this. And so anyone living in sort of a fringe city or a small town fled towards these big cities, and it resulted in a much more melting pot-esque nature of all of these cities. But there's still a regionality to it. Is the key to it. There's still a lot of like, so like in this one, large populations of desert races after unhinging. So we're gonna have a lot of orcs and half orcs. There's a lot of lizard folk as well. Lizard folk, a lot of kobolds, a lot of those types of more arid environment beings are there, just because regionally, locationally, this city is right by a desert. If we pull up the city here, going further, if we move directly to the west, or east, excuse me, if we move directly to the east here, going inland, pretty soon you end up at the Corsewind Desert. And so naturally we're going to have a lot of those. Not going to see as many like elves in this place. The elves are towards the forests, and there really are not any forests nearby. And so that's the type of stuff, and that's the type of flavor that I really like to add to my games. I like to have sort of a clear-cut explanation of these things. I think that helps build a better mental image for my players while we're going. And so I do my best to try and keep it that way. And that's just my approach to things. So we've got lots of orcs, half orcs, lizard folk, kobolds, populations of actually, which is what we're gonna say, smaller populations of less common races. And so that's going to be obviously the things that just regionally wouldn't be present very much, as well as those that are like the very unique that only kind of happen due to magical things. So like tieflings in my world, they don't really have like a natural home. They're creatures that are born of very specific magical events. And so they tend to just kind of be everywhere in equal amounts. They have a couple cities where they like to convene, but that's about it. But you know, regionally speaking, you know, so we might see more of the UNT in this area. Um, you know, the snake people, stuff like that. Gith are more foresty. I'm trying to think about what else might be around here. Oh, and one other thing, because we kind of started talking about the lore last session, talking a little bit about the lore of the Kenku and where they would come from. And I've sort of established in this world, okay, you know what, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen. I want to open up the world map. We're going to do it. We're just going to do it. We're just going to pull up the world map so we can have some real fun talking about these things. Open up. Come on, baby. I know it's an intense map. So here's the world map and everything. So we're right in this section right here. This is the region that we're working on. You can see there's the Coarse Wind Desert right over there. And so the Kenku come from the forests of the Lost Lands. And so it would stand to reason that there would actually be a somewhat higher population of Kenku in this city. Just because as they're wandering south out of the Lost Lands, it's one of the... not just the first, but one of the only cities they'll run into heading in that direction. So they tend to show up there. And they're just kind of there doing their own Kenku thing. The poor cursed bastards. But yeah, so we've got that. But kind of reeling it back in a little bit here. So unhinging, hit very hard, many people died, built walls around the city, many refugees, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll say... post unhinging, because the unhinging was an event that happened roughly 2,000-ish years in the past of where the present day for all of my campaigns that I do. So that way it's like a lot of the pre-unhinging stuff is forgotten, which is just an excellent setup for giving people interesting things, interesting dungeons to explore, and interesting treasures to find, and all that kind of stuff. But post-unhinging history, slow to recover, far from previous glory. We'll say high poverty due to struggles, struggles with, golly, I cannot type right now, due to struggles with agriculture. I knew there was an extra space in there. I knew it. So struggles with agriculture. The wilds. The wilds are what pretty much every part of the world other than a protected city is referred to as. So yeah. So we've got the wilds. Wilds still dangerous for trade routes. So 2,000 years after the unhinging, there has been the establishment of trade routes, and that's what all of these major pathways are, right? These are like sort of the existing trade routes that are there. You can see they're very limited, and the same goes for seafare, shipping of stuff. It is a port city, so they can receive that, but you'll notice not all of these cities are port cities, and so that can still be a challenge, and it's not like the sea is any safer than the land. So because of that, the city these days is a far cry from where it once was. While it's still dangerous for trade routes, sea and land equally perilous. So, whoops, perilous. Yeah. So we've got that. Slow to recover, far from previous glory, high poverty. I mean, as far as just the history description of things, I think that's kind of all we need. Because then going into more detail happens in some of these lower ones here. So demographics, we can kind of copy and paste this in a lot of ways here. This is what I'm initially thinking here. Da 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 da. I'm going to add one extra bullet here and say mostly human. This is a primarily human city. Not to say that it's necessarily xenophobic by nature, but it is a human city. City established by humans, was the first human city, and it just kind of always was a human city ever since its founding. So that's what we've got for our sort of rough details there. Leadership. So this is where I like to start. I will add a lot of detail here, and then I'll add more detail. You see I've got my section Foes and Friends, which is where I'll put a lot of like character sheets and stuff for more prominent NPCs that exist in the world. So this area is more so of a list, but it's always kind of a living document where it's like a lot of times as it becomes necessary and I have to improv a character, if the players latch onto that character, I will then place them in the city. So that tends to be as much reactionary as it is planning ahead. I will have plenty of planned ahead characters and everything. And I have a lot of them, and I may cut and paste a lot of that stuff. But like I say, I'm kind of enjoying starting fresh with this city. Just because I've established so much in this region and sort of altered, because I've got new mapping tools and stuff, I've actually kind of altered how I approach mapping and creating this whole region. And so the city, it's no different. I've got sort of different needs out of these city tabs compared to what previously might have been the case. But that said, I do have King and Queen, and I'm going to pull up the old section for the city here because I have these things here. I'm going to copy this and paste it back into the old one, because see, this is all the old stuff that I have that I've since kind of stepped away from that form of organization here. We'll paste that. So here we've got our King and Queen, and this is a fun city because it's so the history, we've talked about, and I'll be fleshing this out, right? So we've got the history, Queen Madeline and King Zarus. King Zarus was the first human, but he abandoned the city, and Queen Madeline stayed to take care of the city. And so ever since then, because she was highly regarded as like the first great ruler of the city on tradition is a matriarchal society. So it's always queen and then her husband, which is actually an interesting thing. I can actually almost speak to a little bit from what I've learned. There are a lot of tribes like in Africa and stuff that follow that same pattern, and the reason they'll do that is because when it comes to blood lineage, the children of the queen are her children. You know that for a fact. Like, you witness you can have witnesses to the birth, right? So they know for sure where the bloodline goes, like the lineage of that kind of stuff. With a king, there's always the chance that there is infidelity involved, and so there's always the possibility that the king's children aren't actually his children. And it's less of a concern nowadays, one, because there's just far fewer true matriarchal or patriarchal societies in terms of hierarchy, like king and queen. There's just that's growing less and less common in the world in a lot of ways. But also because we have DNA tests, right? We can get to the bottom of that fairly easily. But back in in medieval times, when that wasn't really a thing, it would make a lot of sense to a lot of societies to have a queen-oriented society as opposed to a king-oriented society. And I decided to explore that. And like I say, a lot of that was just birthed from the fact that Madeline, the way the history of the city went, was sort of regarded as the first great ruler of the city, because Zarus kind of abandoned it, and so people viewed him sort of Zarus was sort of a betrayer, as far as people were concerned. DNA test, kings can fake that too. Yeah, I mean, there are ways to spoof a test. I don't know if a king would want to spoof the test. He'd probably want that to be as honest as possible, but I get where your head's at, Spooky, and I agree. A DNA test even could be kind of spoofed and everything like that. But like I say, with the queen, you know damn well where that kid came from. There's no other way about it. So that kid is that queen's kid. And so, but yeah, so but like I say, a lot of it too is within this city, within Bepamat. It's born of the tradition and the history and stuff. Um, so, but yeah, so we've got those things there, um, and that's I don't know what brought me to that conversation, but that's an interesting part. They're fun characters to flesh out, and I've kind of already established them. Um, and so that's right, that's where it comes from, because now in the modern day time, right? So the modern day leadership, we have Queen Saba, who is like I say, Queen Saba, first of her name. She's the queen, and the king, spouse King Jabari. He is the husband of Queen Saba, so it's like he's there, but it's like he's the first husband, right? So it's like his position is one of title, not one of tangible power. Queen Saba is the one who's in charge. And then we have some underlings here, which I've kind of previously mapped out, but actually I haven't used them at all. I kind of established them there so that I could use them, but I haven't actually done anything with them yet. And I kind of don't know if I want to bother, if I'm being perfectly honest. I kind of want to start fresh, because I don't know a damn thing about these guys. So that's kind of what I want to do, right? But you can see I've got it organized here. The monarch, right? So if there is a monarch, or alternatively, so we have monarchs, or that would also be like if it was a democratic, so there was a presidential leader, if it was just an emperor type of situation rather than a monarchy, so on and so forth. Like basically it's like the highest level, and then we've got the underlings, which are basically, I basically have the underlings as being any council members, any servants to the king and queen. So it's like the underlings are kind of more so like, they're like who the players would interact with more commonly, because I think it's always silly when you have a group of level 1 adventurers who are basically just little pissants who have visions of grandeur about themselves. I always think it's funny when it's like suddenly the king or the queen are willing to humor these people. And I'm always like, that's ridiculous. Like, players need to earn the right to speak to the the monarchs or the absolute leaders of the city. So the underlings are more so the people that would be there to speak with the players on more common bases. Who's the guard captain, right? Who's in charge of the city guard, the city watch? Who's in charge of the military? Who is the treasurer of the city? Those types of people who they would be much more likely to get an audience with, and then that person would present the information to the king and queen. That's who the underlings are. And then the puppet masters, those are more so, that's for the people who like officially don't really have power, but are still running things from the shadows, right? And so as a general rule, puppet masters tend to be more so the villains, but they can still, possibly be good guys that are running the show from behind the scenes and stuff like that. But that's generally how I have things organized, and it works pretty well, I find, because most people can fit into one of those 3 categories as far as leadership of the city goes, and then anyone who doesn't fit into those will just then go down into the map details and just be like an average person that you can talk about. So map details, this is for if we have a map of the city, which I think I probably do have a map of the city. Yeah, see, here's our map of the city. Come over here. So we've got this. The song just got weird. What's it talking about? Eat fresh. I really enjoy the atmosphere of lo-fi music, but they get weird with it sometimes. They do a lot of weird stuff. Just like the concept of using random ass quotes in a lo-fi song always kind of amuses me. It's like, what's the relevance of having a line that discusses Subway's slogan in the middle of a Toke song? I don't know. I don't know that I follow that train of thought. It sounds cool, so let it happen, but it's weird. It's weird. But yeah, so here's our city, and I'm actually gonna copy this, and we're gonna put this into the new one. There we go. And we're gonna go ahead and put this over here. Boom, there we go. And I want to reuse as much stuff as I can for this city. Oops, nope. Because I have already had players interact with this stuff, so I don't want to get too crazy there. Yes, I do use random city tool. When it comes to a lot of these things, I like to, I pick my battles. I guess the way I should say it. I pick my battles when it comes to starting from scratch or utilizing a tool that's already there. There's some wheels I'm willing to reinvent, but others that it's just like, you know what, they've got a generator that'll do just as good as anything I could create, so let's freaking use it, man. So yeah, I like to use this tool, especially because it does a good job of, it'll give you a random seed to start with, and then you can change the names of things. So it's like, you can see I've changed the names of parts of the city. We've got South Quarter, the Crest, right? Lost Village here, and Old Bepamat. And so here's where the fun stuff is. And so it's like Lost Village. This is, so we can see we've got our city walls here. The Lost Village here, this is village that is just completely in ruins because of the unhinging, and is just kind of there, and people don't live there anymore, right? People live within the walls here, and this like old farmland here, this is like guarded farmland that they still sort of keep active because you have to feed the city, right? But it has to be guarded because the wilds are, well, the wilds, and that's just how it is. Wow, Spooky, you're getting busy with some Dark Souls stuff. You are into Dark Souls, which is awesome. I dig it. I certainly endorse indulging in the things that we like within reason. You never want to get obsessed with it, but I think it's awesome that you're into it. But yeah, so and then the map details here. So this is the part that kind of is a really solid. I try to make this, the map details is actually kind of like the functional, when players are adventuring in here, or spending time in the city, what can they do? What can they interact with? What can they have fun with? And stuff like that. And so we can see we've got the map details, general atmosphere, permanent locations, right? And so that's where I put all of the shops and stuff for them to interact with. Mission hooks, so that way I can always keep in mind, like, okay, what exists, how do players get new stuff to do within here? What are the mission hooks and things like that? And then random events, so that way if they're just spending a day in the city and stuff like that, I can give them like, hey, it turns out there's a carnival in the bazaar, go enjoy that, or something like that. Oh, nice. There you go, Spooky. Turn to find a way to make two birds, one stone. Have some fun with a project. I think that's awesome. That's definitely the way to go. Hell yeah. So let's see here. So the general atmosphere. I kind of want to say general atmosphere is subdued. The people of the city are all beleaguered. Can I spell that right? Beleaguered. How do you spell beleaguered? I wasn't too far off. Okay, yes, this are all beleaguered with the trials and tribulations of life in the wilds. Work is hard, and the world is dangerous. Most people survive the day and drink the evening away until they go to sleep and start again the next day. Boom. So it's like I want to be able to describe to the players that we've got this atmosphere of just like, like I say, it's just subdued. Like, this isn't a particularly lively and exciting city these days. It's a practical city that's all about survival. They were hit very hard by the unhinging, and recovery is just slow, and people just kind of get through their day and try to go from there. That's the best they can do. So, I don't know that I need to really say a whole lot else until I start getting really narrative with everything. So permanent locations, shops, government monuments, and things like that can be found. I know one city or one shop that they have here is, and that my players have interacted with, so I need to make sure it still exists, is South Quarter Suds, which is the tavern that they sort of elected to be their primary drinking place when they're in town. Hey, Shifting Wolf, how's it going? Good evening. You must be in a different part of the world than me, because it ain't evening around here. But I'm doing well. Hopefully your evening is going well as well. Well as well? I don't know. It's not very thesaurus of me, but, you know, whatever. So South Quarter Suds, a seedy bar that serves dock workers more than anything else. And it's run by, let's see, I'm going to put here, run by Tahu is the guy who owns and operates it. Players have interacted with him, so I got to make sure he stays there. They are quite fond of Tahu. They think he's a pretty cool dude. So I got to make sure Tahu still exists. But yeah, we can flesh all that out more later, as I will with like the shop templates and everything like that. Chronic pain. I mean, that shouldn't be the usual. I'm sorry to hear that. That's not fun. But glad you're still surviving okay despite that. Shifting Wolf, glad you're with us anyway. Glad you're with us. All right, so let's see. So we got South Quarter Suds. Now I don't have in the top of my head exactly everything that all the details about what any of these shops are called, but I think it's worth taking a second to list out all the shops that I want this place to have. Obviously, we're going to have a blacksmith. Obviously, we're going to have a leather worker. We need a general store. Let's see here. We need a let's see here. We'll call it the city guard house, right? So it's like the police station, essentially, functionally speaking. City guardhouse. There's obviously the castle, which is where our monarchs reside on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we'll have that, and that's something that I'll want to add detail in because the players will inevitably earn enough renown to be recognized by the queen and all that kind of stuff. So that's a good one to have. The city, one of the important places is the docks. It's as we can see on our map that's cut off here. There it is. So you can see on our map, it is a coastal city. And so the docks are pretty integral part of it. We'll call it the docks. What else? So that's kind of like, we need a general store. We can do an alchemist's shop there. One of my working through a D&D project heavily underestimated. You just described my life. No, I'm working on just my homebrew world. I have an entire world that I have been working on for years and will continue to work on for years and years into the future. This is my world, Zaoria. It's my baby. It's my little baby, and we're working specifically on this hex right here. I've got players that are kind of exploring this. They wanted a pirate-themed campaign, so we chose a nice coastal region, which is this area right here. And so, yeah, I'm just working on building it. I've kind of got a buffer of, I've created enough dungeons with stuff that they need to kind of be going for a while. So while I'm enjoying a bit of that buffer period, we're spending some time, and I'm just adding some more detail. Today we're working on the city. The main city of that region, the city of Bepimat, which I really like the city, but I'm trying to add some more, some more detail, so it's a bit more lively when they're there, as opposed to go to city, go to bar, get mission, leave. I want to add a bit more detail to it. Story of any DM, yep, that's just what it is. You don't get into DMing because you want to DM. You get into DMing because you're an obsessive world builder. And that's not true. There's plenty of modules, plenty of people, all kinds of people DM. It's more so world builders just find themselves being the DM because they've got all kinds of stuff and people love that. And DMs are in short supply and everyone is always looking for a DM, which is why I'm the forever DM for my groups. Been that way for years. Celtic Monster Manual, nice. Nice. I like it. See, I spend more time on city lore and history and world lore and history. I utilize for the most part, I utilize Monster Manual, and I just sort of rewrite the history of how those monsters came to be. That's usually my thing, because I don't excel at developing like stat blocks and stuff like that. I excel more so on the flavor of things, not the function of them. So that's where my wheelhouse tends to be. But we did want to, so I wanted the alchemists for like a potion shop and stuff like that. There was one, oh yeah, I was going to do enchanters. So I, this is going to take too much effort. That's, oh my god, story of my life. I'm like, we can start one region. I can maybe knock out a region in a month. Like 3 months later, we're barely scratching the surface of it. It's like, well, I should have, I should have thought more about this before I dove into it. But the truth is I would have dove into it anyway. Like I say, this is just my project. I like doing it. I love world building. Happy Friday, Bard Creative. Absolutely happy Friday. I am very excited about a weekend. Very, very excited about the Memorial Day weekend. For those of us Americans here, we get a nice long weekend. I get a free day off on Monday. And I'm excited about this weekend too, because I'm going to be going and spending some time helping my aunt repair her deck outside her house, which actually I'm excited about because 1, the weather's going to be pretty nice while we're working on it, and 2, I'm happy to help her out. She struggles to keep up with like house repair and home repair on her own these days, so so it'll feel good to help her out here. Let's see here. D&D pin board. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds cool. Memorial Day, spooky. Memorial Day it's just sort of a prescribed holiday meant to celebrate. It's an American holiday, just trying to generalize, in memoriam of soldiers and American history and all that kind of stuff. Very propaganda rah-rah type of holiday. My family doesn't really celebrate anything specific about it beyond enjoying our extra day off usually and having a barbecue. That's pretty much what it is. It's pretty much what it is. Oh, a Pinterest pin board. I don't use I don't use Pinterest very often. I don't know why. Pinterest is an amazing option. It's like an amazing resource for just getting inspiration and stuff like that. But I never really use Pinterest. I think the reason I don't use I don't use Pinterest super often is because just the pictures. I'm like, I want more detail, and it's always just the pictures. I'm always like, I want to learn more about it. I don't care if you share a link. I think I've got it set that you can share a link. I don't worry too much about it. I'd say go for it. I'd say go for it, man. If you want to share it, give it to the world. Let everyone see it. And I will boom, there it is. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll check that out after the stream. For sure. I think that sounds awesome. 10,000. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. I can't count that high. I'm a chicken. Once you get past 3, it's just many. I don't distinguish. God, I wish I were that simple. Can you imagine how easy it would be to enjoy life if you were that simple? It's just like, fucking like, I don't know, who cares how many chicken wings I have? It's many. It's more than 3. That's a whole lot of chicken wings. Yay. Life would be simpler, man. I'll tell you what. I don't need more than $3. After that, it's all just a lot of dollars. Ah, boy. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah, you got it, Shifting Wolf. That is absolutely it. That's, sometimes we can't always be living life that simply, but when I have the opportunity, when I can abandon stress, I do my best to do that. It's difficult for me. my mind is a busy, anxious one, to the point of every once in a while needing a little help with anxiety medication. But generally speaking, it's a very busy one. So I do my best to simplify it and just let myself enjoy the moments when I can. Sometimes in life I'm better at it than others. Right now I'm at a high point in life, and I'm generally speaking doing a bit better. I'm doing a bit better about that, but you guys don't want to hear my. You guys aren't my therapists. You don't need to listen to all of my waxing poetic about life and all that kind of crap. What the fuck was I working on? God damn it, you guys got me distracted and shit. God, why are you all so entertaining to talk to? Fuck off, man. Why can't you just be boring and let me do boring stuff on the stream? I'm just playing. I like chatting with you guys. That's what makes it fun, right? Like, if I didn't want to chat with you guys, why the fuck would I be streaming? Right? I never really understand that. And what would be the point? What would be the point if I weren't going to chat with chat? Like, I would just not do it, and I would just write my own thing if that's what I wanted to do. Fuck it. Oh, man. Oh, boy. So we're just listing out shops and stuff that I need to do. And stop touching your nose, Scott. It still hurts. Stop doing that, idiot. Let's see here. General store, alchemist, enchanters. So a lot of this stuff, too, with these shops, a lot of these shops aren't even necessarily things that I expect my players to use a whole lot, because we do use, within my games, we've sort of established homebrew rules for crafting and enchanting. So a lot of times players just kind of do that stuff themselves. It's a very fun downtime activity for them to do, and it gives them a lot of agency over their players' equipment. And I find that players, while sometimes frustrated with the fact that, like, oh, but I just wanted to buy it, I just want to have it now, ultimately when I give them the freedom to create exactly what they want, they feel so much more accomplished when they do it, and they're much more excited about their items. So creating these things is almost more of a formality, so that it's just there if they need it, and it's also more of a way to provide them with components if they need them, as opposed to getting a service done. It almost sounds awkward getting a service done. What kind of service are they looking for? That's drifting back into where we started this stream, where I don't know if I want to go down that road. That's an emotional ending that I'm not really interested in exploring with my buds. Just as my personal take, no judgment on anyone else, but that's a very specific game that I think is it exists in chat rooms other than D&D. But I should stop dwelling on it, otherwise you guys are going to think that I'm lying and that I'm actually obsessed with it. Let's see here. Although, the flip side is, just for the sake of amusing anecdotes, it is always fun to allow players to have their characters go to a whorehouse and then just fade to black. That's always a good way. It's always a good way to get them in trouble too, right? Put them in debt or something, or have them have their clothes stolen, things like that. That's always entertaining. It's good for a bit of hijinks, but that I usually just ad-lib that. I'm not going to sit here and do what I usually do with shops, where I like to add out all the detailed inventory, all the shopkeepers. Excuse me. I'm not going to do that with a brothel. I really don't want to describe and create character sheets for 13 hookers, like men and women alike. That's not my game. I'm sure some people would love that, but we're not going there, baby. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it today. Not going to do it today. Oh boy. Don't tell me what I like and don't like, Bar Creative. You don't know me. You ain't in my brain. Yeah, see, thank you, Shifting Wolf. You get it. You understand me. You understand me. No judgment on anyone who wants to go that route, but that ain't my game. That ain't my game, baby. That ain't my game. Let's see here. But we do have General Store, Alchemists, Enchanters. We got bars. We've got the South Quarter Suds, which is a bar. I feel like we probably should have, so the South Quarter Suds, that's the seedy dive bar. I feel like we need classy bar or restaurant. How do you spell restaurant? Jesus Christ. Restaurant. Boom. Got it. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's like the Bard memes. If people want to live that meme, if they want their character to be that meme, I say go for it, but I am going to insist upon a fade to black moment whenever they do that. That's what I always do. Although I do love, what's the one comic that someone did, or maybe it was like a story that someone told and they made a comic of it or something like that, where the guy was like trying to shove like an orc enemy off a cliff, and he got a nat 1, so he accidentally caressed the orc's back, and then they just like progressively had rolls that ended up with them falling in love. I will absolutely follow that train. I will absolutely follow that train of thought because I think that is wholesome and hilarious. I love that kind of stuff. Boy. But anyway, we need a classy bar or restaurant. That definitely needs to exist in this world, in case they either want it or need it. Sometimes you just need those things. I think we also need like a flea market type of place. You know, just like an outside market where people have like it's the farmers market type of thing. Yeah, exactly. I love making things awkward for players on natural one. I don't like having a natural one result in them dying or having something horribly tragic happen for the most part. I mostly just like it to be really awkward, and so their character is really embarrassed and has to deal with that. I find that is much more entertaining. Tends to result in fewer peeved off players because they don't have to worry about their character getting, offed or accidentally shooting their companion in the head, in the middle of a battle. And instead they just have to deal with the shame and embarrassment of the fact that they broke their bow as an archer in the middle of battle. Things like that. That's usually my approach. I usually like to keep things lighthearted in those senses. There's plenty of room for tragedy within the written story that they're following. Using nat ones for a sense of levity is usually my go-to approach there. Let's see. What else does this city need? We've got. Let's see here. We've got the seedy bar, classy bar, flea market, blacksmith, leatherworker, general store, alchemist, enchanters, city guard house, the castle, the docks is an important part of this. Oh, you know what we can add in here also? We can add a jeweler. Like a jeweler. I always like having a place for people to go, for players to go to get like rings or necklaces or different tokens and stuff like that. What do you got here, Shifting Wolf? Let's see here. Talking in with a rogue threw 3 daggers, 2 misses, and that one on the last dagger. So first with his 2 misses, he angrily yeeted his 3rd dagger and held on to it too much and threw it in his own foot. Oh my god. I like that. Like, that's the type of stuff. That actually is, yes, I will use that as well, where they hurt themselves, not like critically or something like that. I do that a lot for fails on acrobatics or athletic checks, where basically they end up falling on their face and knocking out a tooth or something like that. I love doing stuff like that. I always think that's a great opportunity for those types of things. So then they have to deal with, especially if it's someone who's like super charismatic, and then they knock out a tooth. So it's like figuring out how they can use that to their advantage in a conversation. Oh, and that one on a stealth is excellent. I love that kind of stuff. When someone is like I basically have them do the cartoony fail at being silent, where they're just like stepping on, like they're tiptoeing and stepping on every single twig that exists, and like shushing everyone else so loud that it's like louder than if someone were just talking. Yep, exactly. Oh my god, anytime a paladin. I don't know if I've ever seen a paladin succeed at stealth, to be perfectly honest. Because they never think to take their armor off. They always leave their armor on. They're obsessed with it. It must smell disgusting in that armor. They never take it off. Let's see. We've got general store, jeweler, alchemist. Oh, one thing that I always like to add. Yeah, exactly. They roll at disadvantage based on if they have heavy enough armor, and that's why it always cracks me up. They never think to take it off. But I absolutely hold them to that because I think it's hilarious. Let's see here. Yeah, one of the shops I always like to add is some sort of like stable/animal handler. I always like to add that so that way when players are trying to find fast ways to travel, they have the option to rent or purchase horses. And and so it's like my players have, in the game in this region, they purchased a mule, so that way they could always just have a wagon to carry their shit, so they never have to worry about carrying their packs and losing their stuff in the middle of a dungeon. So they have a donkey named Ashley that just walks around with all of their crap, and that's a solid one. So I always like to have the animal handler there. So hey, thanks for the follow, Shifting Wolf. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you being here. Makes it fun. But yeah, so I always have something like that. And the animal handler, it's always a good way to sort of also have a pet shop in case anyone's looking for a pet, if they want that for flavor and stuff like that. I play pretty fast and loose with that kind of stuff. What else does the city need? Mission hooks, that stuff is just a matter of copying and pasting all of the stuff that's been filled out in here. So I'm not going to worry about mapping that out. Random events. I always love random events. What kind of time we got left? Oh yeah, I got like 20 minutes. I got 20 minutes. Let's make a random events table. Fuck it. Let's do it. Help me make a random events table. That sounds fun and interactive for everyone. Hold on. Let me make it numbers. So we could just like come up with as many as we want. Let's see if we can't. No. Make it there. No, I want it to be numbers. What the hell? Why isn't it doing this shit? God damn it. Make it the numbers. No, don't make it disappear. Son of a bee sting. Whatever. Okay, we'll just leave it there and we'll just come up with 20 things. How we come up with like 20 random events and shit? That, like, some of them serious, some of them funny. I don't know. Random things. Carnival is in town. If they earn enough tickets, they can win a magical item prize or something like that. Boom, there we go. Fun things, just fun things for players to do. I love adding that type of shit. Let's see here. Twin barbarian half orcs. Both dumps that was intelligence. Yep. Time they encountered locked door, a smarter brother would pick up his brother and teach him to use his head by using the twin as a battering ram. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that. I feel that. I feel that. Very Dumb and Dumber approach to lockpicking. I feel it. Hey, it's not dumb if it works. If they knock down the door, then goddamn it, I would say it's a success. Oh boy, that's like in one of the games that I played in the past. Character was basically Randy Savage, and so he would just bust down every door. Oh yeah, brother. This is good stuff. Good stuff. So let's see here. What are the random events? Carnival's in town. One random event that I always like to do. City walls are under attack. Do medium difficulty battle with regional enemies and do stuff like that. I always like having that because it's such a dangerous world. Just like if there's stuff like that, I always like having that sort of reminder, like you might feel safe in the city, but there's still shit going on here. And then, they can earn a reward for helping the city guard and all that kind of stuff. Cast stuff like Create Dead. I like that. I like that a lot. That's fun. Create Dead. Fuck, man. That's the type of thing that I'm gonna think about a lot, and I will probably quote that next time I'm playing with my group. I'll probably, when they kill someone, say, yeah, so you cast Create Dead and kill him. I like that a lot. That's good. That's real good. There's the concept of a creature thinking that it's magic and just interpreting random events and happenstances as him casting magic. I really like that. Roaming troop of bandits have settled close by. Just gonna pickpockets. Ooh, I like that. I like that. I'm just gonna say run in with a pickpocket. We'll just do that. And so it's like when that happens, it just have like one of the players roll, a perception. And then if he succeeds, if he rolls high, he feels someone digging in his pocket. And if he rolls low, next time he's at the bar, have him notice it or something like that. That's a good one. I like that. So run in with a pickpocket. That's good. Let's see here. And then kind of going on that as well, I like the idea of bandits outside of town interfering with, with trade. I like the idea of just bandits that are there, establishing that, and it's like the city guard is willing to pay a reward to someone who deals with it, just so that they don't have to go out and deal with it, because the city guard is like, especially in this city, they're perpetually short-staffed and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I like those ideas. Those are good. I always like to do some random events too. So, like we'll say full moon, random magical event likely. And so it's like, if there's a full moon or something like that, just because of the nature of the unhinging, everything is all kinds of wonky in the world anyway. So it's like there's a full moon, roll on the wild magic table or something like that, and just have that happen. Whatever it rolls, have that happen somewhere in the city or something like that. Okay, another idea. What you got for me? Party DM could roll when entering town, depending on the roll. City guard becomes weary of the party and keeps a close eye on them. That's not a terrible idea. Although for me, that's less of a random event and more so to do with how are they approaching the city. Because for example, due to a few random happenstances and because the group is small and it's a small, so this group within this one, it's a bunch of new players. They had never played before we started, and we only started like a couple months ago. So they're still very new, very unfamiliar with it, and they had a lot of creative ideas for their party, and so I didn't want to stop them from making the characters that they wanted to make, but they accidentally left themselves without any sort of tank. They are a lot of very squishy characters, and so just through some random events, and because this is sort of like a Serengeti type of place with like Serengeti leading into yeah, exactly, Glass Cannon Party, but because of the environment of it, like sort of being that sort of ancient Egypt, then going into Serengeti and stuff like that, lots of grassland animals, grasslandimals if you will, and I know I will. They I gave them a sentient lion as a companion, and it's basically just a lion, just uses lion stats. It gets a little bit more, after so many levels, we'll give it another hit dice or another damage dice, and every time it increases, it gets a hit die of health. That's all it is. It's just a tank. But when they first obtained that out in the wild, they weren't really thinking about it, and they just approached the city, and of course the guards were like, you can't bring a lion into the city streets. That's not cool. So I do like having them potentially have run-ins with the guards, but to me that's less of a random encounter and more of a what exactly are they doing when they return to the city? Are they walking in with like a shit ton of like treasure chests, like, hey, look at all the gold we found? It's like, okay, well, the guards and the queen might have something to say about taxation in that situation. Things like that. No, so that I do like the idea of the lion going on a rampage, but actually it's a sentient lion, and because of they're new players, so they're very squirrely and they're very very ready to cause all kinds of problems. So the lion is actually kind of the straight man of the group. Like, we've got one of the players who's the best at animal handling. He just controls the lion for the sake of combat. But whenever they try to get the lion to do things, the lion the lion gives them a lot of side eyes and is like, I'm not your little whipping boy. Like, I'm not doing this for you. So like they'll always be like, they'll try and use the lion to intimidate people. And whenever it's an unreasonable situation for intimidation, the lion is always like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to chill with the guy. And then like they come back, and the guy that the lion's supposed to be guarding or intimidating, they're like best friends now. So I do that with the lion a lot. Very, very, very amusing. Let's see here. Other random events. Fuck, man. What's a good random event? Fire sale in the markets. Okay, it's all produce 50% off. I don't know. A ragged man begging for food. Yeah, we can definitely add like a beggar. We'll just do beggar in the streets. I like the idea of like beggar in the streets. Okay, here's what we're gonna do: beggar in the streets. Later on, players notice that same guy in fancy clothes walking about town. There's nothing to be gained or lost in this situation. That's the situation, and they can do that. Riot or worker strike. I like that idea. We can do strike down at the docks. We'll say dock hands demanding better pay after 5 people get sucked in by sea monster in a single week. Boom. There we go. Yeah, so they can figure out, they can try to handle that. What do you got for me, Glorious Zote? Let's see here. Sort of comet shower that improves certain magic's potency. I like that. Hey, Glorious, you do not need to be embarrassed about ripping stuff. I steal everything. I steal shit all the time. It is canon in my world. I have made it canon. Smokey the Bear exists and gets pissed off if you do too much fire magic in the forest. It's literally a thing that has happened in my games. I steal everything. Never have to be embarrassed about that. I do like the idea of like a comet shower, something like that. Kind of like the full moon random magical event likely. I like that idea. We'll just go ahead and use it as comet shower magic powers stronger for a night. And so if they want to do anything and get themselves in trouble in the city, they can feel free to do that. We got Bard Creative. Smell familiar scent that reminds you of home. Your favorite food, the hometown or something like that. Ooh, I like that. I like that. We'll say food stall has daily special of nostalgic. How do you spell nostalgic? I don't ever have to spell that word. I only ever say it. Nostalgic. There we go. Nostalgic. Oh, it's real easy. Okay. Of nostalgic food, and we'll just do it that way. Meteor shower gives random buffs. Yeah, Spooky. Yep, like we were getting there. Let's see here. Sentenced to a public death. Josh with the crowd. You notice a hooded person with a dagger clenched their fist. That's so okay. So actually, Bard Creative, we kind of have that happening as some of our actual mission hooks. So rather than a random event, that's a mission hook that can show up in there. So I like that idea, but I'm not adding it because I already have it. Let's see what else we got. Traveling salesman instead of carnival for item sale. Carnival could be Dark Carnival. Frickin' yeah, Glorious. Something Wicked This Way Comes. One of my favorite books. Hell yeah. Do something like that. Of crafty and theme puzzle where they put them in wards if they complete. Ooh, I like that. Where it's like if you win, you get a doll, but if you lose, you get turned into a doll, and that begs the question: who did the doll used to be? Oh my god, I actually really like that. I'm just gonna say mysterious gambling stall is there for a day. If you win, you earn a doll. If you lose, you're turned into a doll. ... Who is the doll you just won? Question mark. And then that turns into like that could really snowball into a really cool like side quest that they can just like pursue throughout the game if they want to. And I could just basically ad-lib that and just randomly have them come across someone like, that's my uncle, you know, and it's like, oh shit, they figured it out. And then it can like become like a quest to try and turn it back into a human or something like that. That'd be great. Oh yeah, new moon, random negative magical effects. I almost feel like what I'll just do instead is full moon, we'll say full moon or new moon, because I basically am saying it's a random magical event. It has no bearing on whether it's good or bad. It's just some shit happens. Yeah, exactly, Spooky. You could reverse the doll. I like that. Is the doll what would make it worth it? It's just there, and like players can win it or not. And I feel like what would make it worth it, or what would make it why would the players do it? First off, the players in this campaign, they're pirates and they're dumbasses. They would absolutely just do it anyway. Second off, it's a fucking, like, I never understood why the supervillain would try and make the game fair or tell people what happens. Just be like, just forget that. They would just fucking lie, and they'd be like, if you lose, you'll pay a terrible price, right? And they just say it like that and never tell people what it is. And so if the players are like, oh, I'm willing to do that, that'd be good. Let's see here. Voodoo doll, yeah, there we go. That would be an interesting one. That'd be kind of dark, though. Give them the voodoo doll and let them do it. I don't know if I want to give my players the opportunity to become the supervillains. Natural disaster. Ooh, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I like that one. We'll say, since it's a coastal city, we'll say high tide is way too high. Dockyard is flooded. Boom. Do something like that so they can go help. I like that idea. There's a lot of good ideas here. Lots of good ideas here. Let's see here. Random bounty. It's not a terrible idea. Although I worry that a bounty would be... I mean, I guess it could just be something like they happen to notice... They notice like a wanted poster, and then they just like randomly notice the dude standing next to it, like just so that way, because the only thing I worry about is like if we have the hook. And that's exactly what I'm worried about, Spooky, is like if it leads into a quest. I mean, I guess we have the dolls leading into a quest and stuff like that. We could do that. I almost like the idea of it just like it could randomly, though. Like I like the bounty idea. What I want to say is players see wanted guy standing next to his own wanted poster. High gold reward. Chase ensues. I like the idea of it just like sort of being something like they have an opportunity, it's right there, do they take it or not? That's kind of what I'm feeling with it. So it's just like they're just like someone's just walking around and they see that, like, wait, what the fuck? And it's like the reward is like 10,000 gold or some outrageous amount, and it's like, oh shit, and they can just like chase him, and then you just do like a skill challenge for them to chase him through all the cabbage stalls and shit in the city. That'd be fun. Just to see if they would take it, if they would jump at the opportunity. They'd fucking do it. What else would be good? This would be good. Yeah, exactly, Shifting Wolf, exactly. Poor cabbage guy. I always felt so bad for him. Poor cabbage man. Let's see here. What else would be a good random event? Okay, here we go. Random event. Players, let's see here. Find coin pouch with 500 pieces. What do they do with it? Question mark. And then later that evening, find a let's see, later that evening, cross paths with woman desperately asking if anyone found a coin purse. Boom. There we go. Then, like, what would they do? Let's see here. Yeah, exactly. The world was really cruel to him. Let's see. 3 random kids who kept destroying his cabbages. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, like, that's just it. The poor dude. Like, I always felt so bad for him. It's like he's just trying to make a living. He's just trying to make an honest living. And people keep fucking up his shit. It's like, dude's just like... Because, like, the thing is, you have to work hard to grow those cabbages, too, right? And they just get absolutely demolished. Absolutely demolished. By the same people. by the same people. I mean, honestly, I'd probably have a psychotic break if I started feeling like I was being chased around by the same people destroying my stall. I might start selling something sharp so that way if they destroy it, they'd like get hurt. Boy. Let's see here. What else could there be? I kind of wanna get up to 20 items. I'm getting close. I'm gonna have to call it a stream soon. But I kind of want to get up to 20 items. We're at 14 right now. I want to see if we can get it up to 20. So it's just like a D20 random event table, and you can just roll it whenever things are getting too calm and safe for the players. You don't want them to feel too comfortable in their environment, and then that's not good. Let's see here. D100. Oh man, there are so many awesome D100 tables out there. The only reason I don't use them is because there's always a certain percentage of them that don't work in like my homebrew world, because I have specific world rules about like, you know, what the cities are like and all that kind of stuff, just like specific atmospheres. So the only reason I don't use them, but I actually sifting through them and taking ideas just to add to tables is actually a really good idea, and I do use that a lot. 100 curses. You're a cruel, cruel, cruel ruler. You're cold-hearted, Shifting Wolf. Cold, cold-hearted. But it's okay. So am I. I fuck with my players all the time. Fuck them. Fuck those assholes. I hate them. I kind of like that though. We'll just say, oh, here we go. Here we go. While walking down the street, accidentally get between a domestic dispute and receive random curse. There we go. Just walking down the street, not really paying attention, and suddenly there's like a husband and wife yelling at each other, and like the wife tries to turn the husband into a chicken, and the player accidentally walks in between right at the wrong time and is turned into a chicken. Let's see here. Okay, what do you got? What do you got? Children and small animals are drawn to the creature whenever they arrive in the settlement. Whatever they do, the children and small animals follow the creature around. Running any attempt for stealth intimidation checks. Persuasion checks are made with a disadvantage. Oh, I like that. I like that. Something, there's got to be something about it. Oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. One player is a celebrity look alike. And it can be like there's like a new bard in town or something like that has been sweeping the city with popularity while the players were out, you know, and so they come back and one of the players looks like this famous guy, and so there's people flock for autographs and to generally fawn. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that'd be so great. It'd be really great. Oh yeah, just generally speaking, I like that one. Shifting Wolf. Jilted lover mistakes player for the jilter. I like that one. Just like they're just sitting in a bar, and randomly like a woman comes up to one of the players, slaps him and dumps a drink on his head. I hope she's worth it, and then leaves, and everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I really think that'd be funny. Just a random event. Doesn't have to amount to anything. It's just like that's what happens. Go to bed sticky with beer. I like that. What else is here? We got only a couple more. We can get this. We can come up with something rich and beautiful and wonderful. Let's see here. I feel like the song is really chanting and cheering us on. Catch you later, Spooky. Glad you were able to make it. I appreciate you when you're here. I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Yeah, exactly, Shifting Wolf. Exactly. Let's see here. See, now that one, Shifting Wolf, that plot twist, that's up to the player and how they handle it. That's up to them. Though I ain't role playing too much romance. I ain't doing that. We'll be doing a lot of fade to blacks if that's the side story they wish to pursue. Why does it always fade to black? Why can't the screen ever fade to like yellow, or fade to brown or something? Why does it always got to be black? Never understood that. Never understood that. Fade to rainbow. That'd be great. That'd be great. Orphan child follows play around. Oh, that'd be heartbreaking, and my pirate players would hate that. They'd be such assholes. I love it. I'm gonna do that. Let's see here. Orphan begins clinging to players like an imprinted duckling. We'll just do that. Orphans all like, are you my mama? And they're all like, what the fuck? No, we're all men. And the child's just like 2 years old, so they don't fucking understand. I like that. What else is there? Okay. I have an idea. Prank coin glued to the ground. I like that. Oh, even better. Bard. There's some kids around the corner with a dollar bill hooked to a fishing line, and so the player can try and chase it, and then once they realize what it is, they can decide if they want to chase after the kids or if the kids just get away. Let's see here. Kids with I guess it has to be a coin. They use coins in D&D. Yeah, kid with GP on a fishing line. We'll just leave it like that. There was an idea that I had. Okay, so like as some sort of like innocuous but still cursed item, like a ring or something like that, or a lapel pin that like, I don't know, there's like something great but something horrible about it. So it's like sentient, but it's also like an asshole or something like that. So it's like really observant, and it can like, I don't know, maybe it's like a lapel pin of light. So it's like it can give you all the free light that you want, but the thing won't shut up when it's on or something like that. And so like a person just like randomly comes by and it's like, I'm sick of this thing. It's your problem now. And shoves it at him, or even better, like someone says that about an item that they stole. So then they also have to deal with like someone coming back after their item, maybe. I don't know. That could be something. I'm not sure I'm convinced that I like it well enough, though. One of the furniture items in a local inn is secretly a mimic. I like that. Yeah, Bart. It is a good way to introduce an object, and that's part of why I kind of want to save it. I almost want to save that as a mission hook, as opposed to a random event, so that way it doesn't become like too cliched, or like it's not like we've seen this happen before, and then they like pass up on a mission hook or something. God, we only need one more. Only need one more to get to our 20 here. Oh, I have an idea. Okay, so the nature of this is something that really only works in my world here. But the nature of the unhinging is that there are a lot of just like tears between different realities and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like maybe there's just like a small micro tear into one of the elemental planes or something like that is like invisible to the naked eye. And like the people of the city who wander that street, that people in that neighborhood know where it is and they just avoid it. But the players aren't paying attention, and one of the players just walks through it and is just suddenly like fucking like in the earth plane or some shit. Like, and they're just like, where the fuck did I come from? And if they go directly backwards, they can get back, but there's no visual cue to it. And so it's like on them to suddenly figure out like what the hell to do about this situation. I like that one. That one's really mean, and it could really get them in trouble, but I think it's really funny. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. You can't stop me. I'm the god of this world. I can do what I want. You're gonna have to deal with that. Okay. Invisible tear in reality that leads to the earth plane. And I like it being the earth plane because it's not immediately deadly like if it were the fire plane or something like that, but it's still not where they want to be. Player accidentally walks through. Boom. There we go. That's 20 items. That's 20 random events. There we go. That was a really good use of a half hour. I like that. And I can say that it was, and I'm genuine about it being a great use of it because you guys just really did a lot of the work for me, and so I got to just be nice and lazy and just steal all of your guys' ideas. No, I don't know. I like the group effort here. I love it. I love the conversations. You guys have so many cool ideas. Like, half these ideas I would have never come up with, and they're so awesome. And I encourage any of you to take any of these ideas, whether I or someone else is the one that came up with them, because the world was never made worse by having better DMs leading our games. So, but yeah, that's good. That's good. And I feel like I feel like I've got a better, at least a decent start on fleshing out this city. It's going to take a lot more work for sure. Yes, absolutely, Bard Creative. Do that one. I love that idea. Just like generally speaking, like, it's such a good way to just force players to do stuff, especially if they're like being hesitant and beating around the bush about things. Just fucking give it to them. Just like force it down their throats, railroad them, but like make it feel like it's the world that's railroading them, not me. You know, I love that one. It's a really good one. I've used it before, and the trick is finding like different ways to sort of sneak it in there without it always being just some guy walking up there and being like, "Here, you deal with it." But yeah, good work, team. Good work, team. And I'm looking at the time though, and it's getting to be about that. Oh, chow mein. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's poor timing because I'm just now getting ready to call it a session here. I've got other stuff I got to do before the weekend starts here, since I'm going out of town for the weekend. But I mean, the VOD will be up. The VOD will be up, and you can go back and see all the stuff we were working on. We came up with this really awesome random events table for the city. So, oh, there you go. Yeah, if you're gonna go do your own stream, hell yeah, chow mein. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got for today. Thank you everyone for stopping by. I appreciate it. This was a fun session. How many people we got watching? We got a handful of people. I don't know. Do we want to raid someone? Or do you guys have other stuff that you're gonna do and go out and find your own stuff to do? I don't really care one way or another. It's up to you guys. So I don't know. Think about that for a second. But thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate every one of you that stops by. It makes it so much fun when there's people to chat with and working on this stuff. And seriously, you guys have a lot of creative ideas, and I love hearing the ideas that you guys have. The wacky stuff you come up with, it's good stuff. Let's hear. So obviously, like I say, I'm out of town, so there won't be any streaming this weekend. Next week, I should be able to be around and streaming Monday through Thursday. Friday, I'm not going to be around. I'm a lucky dude, and my apartment management they're remodeling my kitchen and bathrooms. So they're kicking me out on Friday so they can replace all the cabinets and sinks and countertops and shit. I'm getting new appliances. It's going to be badass. But I'm not allowed to be in my apartment, so there will be no streaming next Friday. But Monday through Thursday, I should be around. The background might look really cluttered and chaotic as I move stuff out of my kitchen so that they can do all that type of stuff. But I will be here, ready to stream, ready to have some fun with you guys. Monday, Wednesday, and usually Fridays, but not next Friday. That's when I do my writing, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's when I do the gaming. And like I mentioned earlier, we're doing Mass Effect right now. Having so much fun with that. I love that game. It's one of my favorite games ever, even when I suck at it. But that's what's coming up. I don't know that I have a whole lot else going on at the moment. That's what it is. So I don't see tons of calls to raid. So I'm just I'm gonna release you guys and let you guys go off and do your own thing. I'm not gonna try and force you to go sit through someone else's stream if you got other stuff. Sounds like some of you guys are gonna do your own streams and stuff. So more power to you. Go out and do that. And as I always do at the end of my streams, my call to action is for each and every one of you, if you would be so kind, go out there and try and make someone else's day just a little bit better. I feel like we get caught up in our own stuff sometimes in the world, and I feel like the world is going through a lot of challenges and a lot of parts of it right now. But the fact is, the human experience it's up to us humans, right? We have the power to try and make other people's lives better. So I'd say let's do that. Let's do that and try and make other people happier. Because I know you guys have made me happier by hanging out with me here, and I'm going to try and pay that forward the rest of the day with anyone I interact with. So let's all of us do that and just like try and bring a smile to the world. And because it's like, if everyone did that, literally everyone would be smiling in the world. So like, fuck it, why not try and enact that change? But yeah, with that, thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate every one of you. I'm so glad you guys stopped by, and I am very excited to see you guys next time. You take care now.